Hi, I'm Terry Kimball, President and CEO of the Chandler Chamber of Commerce, and here with me today is Rene Lopez, candidate for the Arizona Corporation Commission. Welcome.
Thank you, Terry.
So, Rene, let's talk about your decision on why you chose Corporation Commission.
So let me back into it from my history. So I grew up in a family of service. So again, I was born and raised in Mesa, third generation Arizona native. Served in the Navy. My dad, my maternal grandfather, served in the Navy. So when I found my kind of goal that I wanted to be an engineer and started off in aerospace, I went to MCC, Michigan Community College, and I discovered my first love language, which was energy, nuclear power. It's kind of weird. Yes, my wife says I'm a nerd. So I changed my major to nuclear engineering, and since my parents hadn't really planned for my future education, I was putting myself through college, and the Navy wound up helping with a scholarship. So I served 4.5 years in the Navy also, so again, third generation, as a naval officer. Started out in the new community, but did signals intelligence, support submarines. But when I left the Navy, a couple of iterations, but I wound up actually getting a job in oil and gas. So again, energy related also as a project engineer for a Caterpillar company called Solar Turbines. So loved the job, loved the industry, but it was in California at the time. And again, being born and raised in Mesa along with my wife, we wanted to come back and finish raising our family here in Arizona. So we came back to Arizona in about 2006. I'm sorry, 2007. And I wanted to still be involved in my community. So I wound up getting involved in politics. And as you know, kind of fast forward a decade or so, and I wound up running for Chandler City Council. So I served 8 years on the Chandler City Council and termed out in 2023, but continue to want to serve. So, I wanted to serve the community with my background in energy. Corporation Commission was really just a really good fit. It's really where I wanted to go. At the time, there were two good men running at the time for Corporation Commission. There was only 2 seats up. So wound up taking a step back and ran for Congress, as you may know. And thank God I didn't get it. What I did is that opened up for this cycle. There were 3 seats open, and at the time when I was looking around and joining, there was only 2 people running for the 3 seats. So I put my name in the ring and been running scared ever since. So Corporation Commission, again, with my background in energy, service, water, when I served on Chandler City Council, I did 6 years on AMWA, the Arizona Municipal Water Users Association. So know a lot about water and all the holistic approach between energy and water and how they work together in Arizona. So it really just is a good fit for me.
Very well said. So with that being said, what do you think is the biggest issue that's facing Arizona at the Corporation Commission level within the next 5 years or so?
So the immediate thing that keeps me up at night is 2 things, as I talk about energy and water. So again, the Corporation Commission established by the Constitution is only to really review, and their main edict is along with pipeline safety, gas pipeline safety, railroad safety, equities and securities. The biggest thing that affects most people's lives is line siting, which we've dealt with here in Chandler a couple of times.
A few.
And then also rate setting. Now within Chandler, it doesn't affect us too directly because we have a lot of SRP now, APS. It does. In many in the downtown, it is APS, which does oversight by the Corporation Commission. But it's private utilities. So that being said, again, APS, Tucson Electric Power, EPCOR, those kinds. There's about 350 private utilities that they oversee for rate setting. So what I see the biggest issue when it comes to that is our base load is continually going away. That's our coal plants, and they're justifiable and or non-justifiable reasons, wherever you want to lay on that, but they are going away. They've already decommissioned a few of them. There's 2 left that are left to be decommissioned in the next 5 years, 5 to 7 years. And then we've also lost a lot of power off of our hydroelectric dams. The lowering reservoirs has caused less head, which causes less pressure, which means we've lost power. And those are some of the 2 cheapest ways of producing electricity. And all of that is being replaced with peaker plants with gas, some renewables with solar and wind, and it's just more expensive than those base loads. So that's why our prices are going up a lot in Arizona. And again, across the country, a lot of these cheaper forms, which are being associated with dirty, which can be a discussion in itself. But the reality of it is just making energy more expensive. So that keeps me up at night. And in concurrence to that, as I said, with the lowering reservoirs, the water. Now, we only set water rates, but what's going to cause those rates to really go up is the lack of availability. So the Arizona Corporation Commission, in my opinion, really need to get involved in educating our state legislators and our congressionals to tell them about the concerns we have here in water, the rights that we need to be reevaluating when the Colorado Compact comes up in 2026 for review from the Groundwater Act. We really need to start diving into that and prepping for that, which I haven't really heard anybody really getting involved yet, and we're only 2 years away from it. So
Yeah, it's happening
that
tomorrow.
yeah, that's keeping me up at night. Those two things. So.
Yep. So, here at the Chandler Chamber, we represent about 172,000 employees just here in Chandler. How will you at the Corporation Commission continue to foster a positive relationship with the Chandler Chamber?
Well, with businesses across the board and across the state, not just Chandler, but every chamber, every community. As I was on the council, I always had an open door policy. And you could call me. I haven't changed my cell number or email for the last 14 years that I've been here. So, I'm an open door. And I go to many events, even after coming off the council, still attend a lot of events. Because this is my community. It's where I grow up. It's where my kids grew up. And I want to continue to make sure that Chandler is a very strong and thriving community. So in the end, I see this as a partnership. Being on the Corporation Commission, just like I was on the council, I see that two-way communication, seeking understanding. We may not be in agreement, but as long as we can understand where we're coming from, we can educate each other on why a decision may be made or not made, and then we can go from there. And as long as we have a good rapport back and forth and a respectful rapport, an honest rapport, we can, again, move forward. And my goal, as was with on the council, is I don't believe government should be an obstacle for the businesses to get going. We need to make sure that we're streamlined, we're removing bureaucracy and red tape, we're doing our job in oversight and regulation where required, but removing the unnecessary roadblocks so that business can get up and running faster, because time is money when it comes to businesses, and that's what I want to fight for.
That's important. So you talked a little bit about your background, but going from Chandler City Council to Corporation Commission, there's a big difference there. So how have you adequately prepared yourself to run for Corporation Commission?
I come in eyes wide open. So I know Kevin Thompson, the current commissioner on there, ran, helped them a lot. We served in councils together. We served in a lot of boards together. He served on ICC's nonprofit board for about 4 years. And so I've really kind of bounced a lot of stuff off of him. So I've gotten really a good understanding of what the expectations are when I go there. But also, I approach it the same way as I did with the council. Look, I'm coming in new, and no matter how much preparation I can do and observing I can do from the outside, from reviewing all the public meetings that have been held, I'm going to need to do a good year's worth of understanding, going through the cycle, understanding the process, before I can start making changes, before we can start improving. So I know, look, it's government. There's inefficiencies. And we did, I think, when I was on council for 8 years, we did a really good job in trying to cut through some of that waste and speeding things up for the businesses, keeping, we lowered the taxes consistently while we were on there, but yet we never cut services. We always provide, hired more police officers, made it so Chandler had the lowest cost of service in Maricopa County for, by the time I left. We were the safest city that we'd ever been by the time I left. So, and we were still able to do that by reducing the overhead and cost, and yet provide good services. I know I can take that mentality and that process improvement that I had done before to the state level, and it's a bigger machine, I understand. I have no delusions of grandeur here. I know it's gonna take effort, but I think we can do it. And like I said, Kevin Thompson is a good friend. I think we'll be able to get him aboard. Leah Marquez Peterson and Rachel Walden I'm running with. We're running together as a slate, and I think we all are very aligned in our philosophy in that.
Great. So what is your opinion on energy efficient rules? And what do you think should be a priority here in Arizona?
So when it comes to the Corporation Commission, one thing that I do talk about, and when I talk about government entities, they need to stay in their sandbox. So the requirement for the Arizona Corporation Commission is edicted by the Constitution, is that we have affordable and reliable rates, energy rates. So a reliable grid and affordable rates for power and water. So we need to stay in our wheelhouse. When it comes to rules, regulation, and a lot of that stuff, laws, that is to be written by the state legislator. Now, my personal opinion, and a lot of the opinion of the state I'm running with, we're not for mandates. Because as soon as any government entity intervenes not understanding what they're doing, there is a myriad of unintended consequences that atypically happens whenever somebody gets involved, when they don't know what they're doing. It causes a lot of ripple effects that are negative. So when you do mandates, it winds up costing everybody more. So I'm not a big fan of that. But what I am a big fan of is efficiency. Look, I live here too. I drink the water, I breathe the air. I want clean energy. I would like clean environments. So we can always work towards that, but we do it in a partnership. We do it with the industry, cooperation. We do it with the commitment of businesses and understanding what we're working towards. And in the end, working towards a cleaner environment, working towards a more cost-effective way of doing business. And I believe that is achievable by us, again, don't know the path. And I always talk to people, when I was on the council, this is how my philosophy and how I work my business when I'm a project manager, how I work the nonprofit. We have a problem, as long as we can define the problem together and work towards that solution. It may not be my solution, it may not be your solution, but if we work together, it may be a third kind of solution to solve that problem. And as long as we both agree that we're working towards that same solution, it doesn't matter who comes up with it.
Great. So you talked a little bit about this before, but I'd like you to go a little bit more in depth. How do you ensure the cost of utilities remains affordable for all Arizonans?
So my philosophy, and the one of our state that we are touting out on the campaign trail consistently, is we are an all above the approach. Everything needs to be on the portfolio. Oil and gas, coal, water, hydroelectric, nuclear, and the clean, the solar and wind. They can be in the portfolio. I don't believe any of it should be subsidized. None of it should be mandated. When we go back to the utilities, when they come to the IRP along with the integrated resource planning for the future, they need to be considering all of it, because we don't know where technology is going to go. We don't know where the advancements are going to come from. We don't know where the price of gas and coal are going to go. Coal and gas may want to bottom me out. Gas right now is very, very, very cheap. And it's a great thing that it's on our grid right now, because if those things change and move and we don't have it available on our grid when a breakthrough comes through, then all of our ratepayers and our businesses are going to want paying more. So that's why, just like in a diverse portfolio of investments or a diverse portfolio of income is always good for people, a diverse portfolio of energy supply is great, because again, that way when things come and go, or God forbid, wildfires come in and wipe out an area that has a lot of utility solar, they're not going to be able to produce as much. So it's good that we have other things in other areas and communities. And every community, as I'm discovering around the state, which I kind of knew, water is very diverse in supply. Energy is very diverse in supply. We have 2 main gas lines that come in. But there's a lot of communities that cannot rely on peaker gas plants because they do not have access to the gas pipelines. So they need to find other alternatives. So we need to have it all. We need to have it all.
Well, and that was a really good segue, because do you think that Arizona should have that diverse energy portfolio? And what are the other things that we should be looking at?
So one thing I know that I've discovered, and it's something that I've inquired about when I first got on, and I'm discovering now that it is being evaluated, is a natural gas storage. I know that's being looked into right now. Expansion of nuclear is, again, a big one. The small modular reactors coming forward. Everybody is throwing a lot of effort and money into that to try to see how we're going to be able to get those up and running. Begin with my nuclear engineering background, I'd love to see that. I just am a little wary, because when I discovered they were researching this 5-10 years ago, they said it was 5-10 years out. We're now 5 years forward, and it's still 5 to 10 years out. So, not necessarily holding my breath yet. But that is a federal thing. It's a little bit more federal regulation, but I believe that we in the Corporation Commission and with conjunction with congressional delegation and our state legislators, we can try to do things that will set us up for the future for these emerging technologies that will make it easier for us to be a first in line type of thing, maybe second in line for having some of these new technologies coming in.
Great. So I know we've had a short period of time and we've kind of been a little bit all over the board. Is there anything else you want the voters to know about you or anything that I haven't asked you that you feel is important for them to know?
I have a heart of service for this community. I've stayed very connected into the Chandler community even after I left the council. And I think I was very successful. I mean, even afterwards, and I felt very honored that even after leaving my leadership role, I still was getting asked and invited to a lot of events because I was seen as, again, a leader in the community. So I'm so happy that I'm able to continue to serve. And with my expertise, again, running the billion-dollar budgets at the city, understanding water the way it is and energy with my background and experience, that I'm able to, I always say it's great to have fighters for our taxpayers and the government, but we also want people that are successful at winning. And having the proof of running the fourth largest city in the state, the fourth largest water district in the state, and running it very efficient and effectively, I have proof that I know I can do that at a state level.
Great, great comments. Rene Lopez, candidate for Arizona Corporation Commission. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Terry.